Dear Diary, things are still going along quite nicely here at Banbridge Town. Since the derby, we have played 5 league games, 4 free wins, 1 draw, and our first loss of the season. That loss was against Lochgale and has meant that they will be 1 point ahead of us on top of the table if they win their game in hand. While that's a little bit disappointing, we are still a fair way clear of 3rd spot, so positioned nicely early on in the league. Could be in a much better position if we had a decent first 11 penalty taker though, as that is starting to cost us some points. Might be time for a tweak, right Teddy? We have a big test coming up next in the Mid Ulster Cup against Glenavon from the Premiership. This should be a good gauge on how we would get on if we manage to secure back-to-back promotions, and will give us some chance in the rest of this cup, with Glenavon being one of only 2 Prem teams left in it. Here's hoping for a cup set. Until next time. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 12 of FM23 here on Shaun Does FM at Banbridge Town. I hope you are doing well, and coming up today, as you can see on screen, we take on Premiership opposition in Glenavon in the quarterfinals of the Mid Ulster Cup. So if you are looking forward to this one, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated, but as you would have seen through the intro, we have played a few games in the league off the back of the last episode, which was in the first round of this competition, the Banbridge Derby. We did take on Banbridge Rangers. If you missed that episode, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. And as mentioned, our form since then, a little bit iffy, most notably because we have been a little bit iffy from the penalty spot. Thankfully, we got away with it in our most recent game against Dundalk, despite the fact that McCavitt missed a penalty in the first half. He has been the player largely at fault so far for our penalty misses. And if we go over and have a look at his penalty taking attributes, you can kind of see why. Only 3 for penalty taking. His finishing is not bad at 9, but still that 3 penalty taking does look like it is costing us because of that. I have been making sure that we do have players on the bench like Kurt McLaughlin instead of Eamon Fife as a backup striker, seeing as his penalty taking is a lot better at 7, and we can bring him on later if we do get a penalty and need someone just a little bit more reliable from the spot. But as mentioned, it didn't actually cost us in that most recent game against Dundalk. Nice to get a result against those guys, of course, after they did turn us down, and we were looking for our first job in this save. But before that, we also had a bit of penalty trouble in the game against Knockbreda. It's one that we should have actually escaped with a draw from, but unfortunately this time it was Cullen McLaughlin coming on for Lumi Kamwe, one of the other better penalty takers here at the club, and even he got his penalty saved. So that was a game we probably in the end should have got 3 points from, even though we did fall behind a few times in that game. So we've dropped a few points that I feel like we didn't necessarily need to. Fair play to Lochgale. In that other game, they just outplayed us away from home, even though it did take them until the 75th minute to grab that goal. And what that does mean is we are on top of the table, but only because we have played 1 more game than Lochgale. But as mentioned, a big gap back to the likes of Knockbreda and Portadown, who are in a large clump of teams there, all in quite close proximity in behind us and Lochgale on top of the table here in the Championship. So it's still been a pretty good start to life off the back of that promotion at the end of last season, and hopefully we can continue that in our couple of games that we are going to play in between episodes. But as mentioned, today we do take on Premiership opposition for the first time this season. It is in the Mid Ulster Cup. We take on Glenavon, who are the current champions of this Mid Ulster Cup. They currently find themselves 7th up in the Premiership, so they are struggling just a little bit, but still not really in any danger of getting relegated early doors, and also just a little bit behind those top teams. So a good solid mid-table team this season in the Premiership early stages. Will be interesting to see how we get on against these guys after we gave Lan a little bit of a test last season, and they are currently on top of that Premiership. So this might actually be a slightly easier game for us here, and maybe we can get a scalp here from one of the teams up in the top division, and it might give us a little bit of confidence that maybe we indeed can get promoted up to that division come the end of this season. Would also be quite nice to beat them as well, because their manager has pretty much told us in the media that we don't stand a chance in heck of beating them. So it would be nice to shush his mouth up, Gary Hamilton, with his silly dark beard and broody eyes over there in the corner with his 4-2-3-1 that it does look like he is going to play. In terms of us going into this game, we are having to make a few little changes due just to making sure that some players are going to be fresh for the league games. As much as I would like to put our first choice 11 for this game, I do think it's probably better served that we save those players up for the league, as that is going to be our main focus this season, especially off the back of the start, which we have had. So just resting a few players who are quite high in terms of injury susceptibility at the moment. So that means that Sustek comes in goal. Ferry is in there for Snodden at centre-back. We've also got Turley there in place of OG Gallagher. In the midfield, McLaughlin starts out left in place of Lumi Kamwe. So if we do get a penalty, hopefully this time he can put it away, as his penalty taking attribute is also 7. So not a bad option should we get a spot kick. And then up front, it's our usual 2 these days with McCavitt and McDowell. So just a few changes here and there, but hopefully we can give a good account of ourselves away from home here as we take on Glenavon in the quarterfinal of the Mid Ulster Cup, and we'll come back shortly from Warmview Park for the action. And only a few minutes into this one, we have our first highlight, Glenavon in the white here with a free kick. They put that far post and Geek in there with a chance, but thankfully that one goes over the bar, and still 0-0 early doors. And just past the half-hour mark, we have our next highlight of this game. Glenavon certainly on the front foot so far in this one, but we've done well to make sure that they haven't found the back of the net. And now McCloskey does a good job there to evade his man out on our left-hand side. That probably would have been Higgins. They try and put that ball far post, but thankfully McDermott is there to tidy things up. Rob plays that ball in for Cowan, who starts to jog his way up and towards that middle third of the field. We play a long ball over the top, but unfortunately Glenavon are back in possession and find a bit of space here down the left-hand side with Campbell. It looks like we are going to deal with this danger, but that's a poor touch there from Maguire. It's a little bit of a cluster of bodies on our end, and unfortunately Gluckin is there to put that one away. Apparently the mistake there was made by our goalkeeper in Sustek. I'm not so sure. If we have a look at this replay, definitely a loose touch there from Maguire. He tries to come out and smother that shot before it goes over him. So I do think that's more of an error from our defenders rather than our goalkeeper. But unfortunately, it is still an error, and it puts us 1-0 down here in the early stages of this one. And then a good chance for them there from another set piece, thankfully, comes off the post there, and it remains 1-0 a few minutes shy of half time, albeit just as I was about to wrap things up, we are down the other end here for a free kick of our own, and Ferry hits the post there from that chance, and it looks like we might be going into the sheds here. 1-0 down. We're not playing that well, albeit a little bit of a late flurry there in the first half to make things look just a little bit more respectable. Now we have half the shots and shots on target of Glenavon, but a little bit unfortunate there with the goal, which we did concede. A bit of an error there at the back. And apart from that, Glenavon have hit a few decent chances through those set pieces, those free kicks they are putting towards that far post. But apart from that, we're looking fairly solid, as I said, just that error that did lead to their goal. And so far, we haven't offered a great deal in terms of attacks. So hopefully that changes in the second half and we'll get things back underway, 1-0 down. And up to the hour mark, no highlights so far in the second half. As you can see, stats-wise, we are just starting to inch things closer, but I do think it's time for us to make a triple substitution. McDowell today not doing too well. Lumi Kamwe, in this case, is our backup striker on the bench, so he can come on for him. Also, Chris Cowan only going okay on a yellow card, so I think we're going to take him off for OG Gallagher, so won't miss out on too much in that midfield. And to add to that, Ferry at the back not having a good game either, on a 6.3, so I think Snodden will come on for him. So that's all of our subs used here at the hour mark. Still in this one though, only 1-0 down. And a few minutes off the back of that triple sub, it is a corner here for Glenavon. Hopefully we can deal with this and maybe do something on the counter-attack. McCavitt does head that one away, but Campbell finds himself in a lot of space. They try a shot there from a tight angle, but thankfully Sustek makes the save. Our defence clear that one away. And with 20 minutes to go, it is still 1-0 Glenavon. And we are just inside the last 10 minutes of this game, and we do have a throw in here in a dangerous area. It's a little bit of a fumbly sort of bouncy ball there in the mixer. And now Turley has a shot from outside the box. Unfortunately, that one goes just over the bar. We have just done with our midfielders and our strikers, just instructed them to change position every now and then, see if that can help confuse the defence here of Glenavon. And it does look like it's starting to create some things, but nothing so far that has resulted in a goal. So we will start to counter press and also distribute quickly in these last few minutes, and as well as that, we'll go to a higher tempo and see if that does anything in the last few minutes of this game. Still in this one, but now only 2 minutes of added time, and unfortunately we are going to fall short here away at Glenavon. We've given them a decent game, only going down by 1-0, and unfortunately that goal did come from a bit of a defensive error in the first half, but in the end none of our players played that well. And if we go and have a look at Glenavon, mostly a team coming through with green ratings, and also we only have 34% of possession as well, so it's a bit hard to do anything when you only have that much of the ball. But a solid performance there, but unfortunately we do get knocked out of the Mid Ulster Cup in the end. Just didn't really offer anything in terms of attack today, and we get knocked out there 1-0 away by Glenavon. So unfortunately that is one cup competition that we won't be winning this season. They're getting knocked out in the quarterfinals of the Mid Ulster Cup, albeit it did really come down to a defensive mistake on our end, and also we probably didn't play as well as we are capable with, especially with some rotation players in that starting 11. So not a bad performance. Hopefully the next time we play a team from the Premiership, maybe we can pull off our first win against the team from the top tier here in Northern Ireland. Their manager says we can be proud. If I get the chance to have a go at him in the post-match press conference, I still will, because he was a right before that game. But I think that will do it for today's episode. As I said, unfortunately we do get knocked out there of the Mid Ulster Cup, but that does mean we can focus for a little bit anyway on the Championship, albeit in saying that, not too far away, we have the third round of the League Cup. That was off the back of a win against Portadown in the second round. That was one of our first few games of the season here at Banbridge Town, and we take on the Ballyclare Comrades in that game away from home, and that is right before a league game as well. So we've got a double coming up against those guys, which we'll play off camera. And in terms of the next game, which we're going to come back for, honestly, I'm not too sure. It probably depends if we get through that third round of the League Cup. If we get a decent team in the fourth round of that competition, we might come back for that game, which would hopefully be in November. Otherwise, we'll come back for one of those league games in that month, albeit all the teams that we are playing in that month aren't exactly seeing the world on fire at the moment. The best of them is probably Harland and Wolf Welders. That is a team who so far we actually have a pretty good record against in the save. We bet them last year in one of the cup competitions and bet them 2-0 away from home earlier this season. So hopefully if we come back for that game, that is one which is a little bit more winnable. But as I said, we'll come back for either that game, or if one of the other teams does start to rise up the table and Harlan drop down the table, we might switch that game. And also we could come back instead for the fourth round of the League Cup if we do beat the Ballyclare Comrades, which you might expect, because if we have a look at the league table, they do currently find themselves in 6th. So even though it's away from home, you'd like to think that might be a game which we are capable of winning. But if you did enjoy today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. And until tomorrow, we will come back for some game in November. Thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.